Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Søren Kierkegaard. In this simple paradox lies the entire human condition. We are creatures forever caught between retrospection and anticipation, between the clarity of what was and the opacity of what will be. This is the existential predicament. We are condemned to act without full knowledge, to choose without certainty, to commit ourselves to paths whose destinations remain hidden. The student selects a major without knowing where it will lead. The lover says yes without guarantee of happiness. Each decision is a leap into fog, and only years later do we say, so that's what I was doing. But Kierkegaard's insight reveals something deeper, a fundamental asymmetry in existence. Understanding arrives too late to be useful. We gain wisdom precisely when we can no longer apply it. The middle-aged finally understand their parents' choices, but their own childhood is long past. The elderly comprehend the brevity of life, but their youth is irretrievable. We are always living in the wrong tense, equipped with yesterday's wisdom for tomorrow's problems. This creates what we might call the existential gap, the space between living and understanding, between action and meaning. In the moment of decision, we cannot see clearly. In the moment of clarity, we cannot decide. The present moment where we actually live is paradoxically when we understand least. Yet perhaps this gap is not a flaw, but the essence of existence itself. If we could understand life while living it, would we be living at all, or merely executing a predetermined script? The forward momentum of life, its urgency, its risk, its terrible freedom, depends on this blindness. We must choose without knowing, because choosing itself creates the meaning that can only be understood later. Consider regret, that most existential of emotions. It reveals something profound. The person who made that choice was not the same person who regrets it. They lacked the very understanding that produces regret. The younger self who made the mistake was living forwards, necessarily blind. The older self who sees clearly is living backwards, necessarily powerless. Authenticity, then, cannot mean living with perfect self-knowledge. It must mean accepting the gap itself. To live authentically is to choose while knowing you cannot fully know, to commit while accepting uncertainty, to act while understanding that meaning emerges only in retrospect. It is to embrace the forward motion of existence without demanding backward clarity. The alternative is paralysis or self-deception. We can refuse to choose, waiting for certainty that will never arrive. Or we can pretend to a certainty we don't possess. Both represent a refusal of the human condition. The authentic response is to live within the gap, to make peace with being fundamentally dislocated creatures, always slightly out of sync with ourselves. There is something both humbling and liberating here. Humbling because we must give up the fantasy of mastery over our own lives. Liberating because our past selves deserve compassion rather than judgment. They were doing their best with the understanding available, which is all anyone can ever do. Perhaps this is why forgiveness is so central to a meaningful life. To forgive is to acknowledge the gap, to recognize that people act from their forward-facing position of limited vision. Understanding this doesn't erase harm, but it contextualizes it within the fundamental human predicament. We are, each of us, constantly becoming strangers to our former selves. The person I was 10 years ago seems almost incomprehensible now, and the person I will be 10 years hence will look back on my present self with similar distance. We are islands of momentary clarity in a sea of temporal discontinuity. But perhaps the tragedy is also the gift. The gap between living and understanding creates the space for transformation. We move forward into mystery, and in doing so, we change. We become people capable of new understanding, which means we become genuinely new people. In the end, Kierkegaard's paradox suggests that wisdom is not about escaping the gap, but inhabiting it gracefully. It means choosing with humility, knowing our understanding is provisional. It means looking back with compassion, recognizing our past selves were doing their best. And it means moving forward with courage, accepting that the meaning of our lives will always remain, to some degree, ahead of us, visible only in the rearview mirror. We live forwards into opacity, we understand backwards with clarity. And between these two movements, we find ourselves, temporal creatures caught in the beautiful, terrible gap of existence, forever reaching for understanding that arrives just after we needed it, forever choosing in the dark that eventually becomes light,